First, let us talk about what VA disability back pay actually is for anyone who might be newer to this space. When you file a disability claim with the VA and you get approved, the VA does not just start paying you from the day they approve your claim. They actually owe you compensation going back to the date you originally filed, or in some cases, even earlier than that. That difference between when your entitlement began and when they finally made a decision is your back pay. For veterans who have been fighting appeals for years, that back pay amount can be absolutely life-changing. We are talking about situations where veterans receive lump sum payments of $50,000, $100,000, or even more depending on how long the process dragged out and what disability rating was ultimately assigned. Now, here is where the big change comes in, and I want you to pay close attention. The VA has been under enormous pressure from veterans advocacy groups, from Congress, and from legal challenges to address the way effective dates are being handled and to make sure veterans are not losing money because of bureaucratic errors, delays caused by the VA itself, or situations where a veteran did not know they had rights they could have exercised sooner. The rule changes that have been moving through the system are targeting exactly these pain points, and the impact on back pay calculations is real. One of the most important areas involves what is called the Presumptive Service Connection Framework. For years, veterans with certain conditions had to jump through exhausting hoops to prove their illness was connected to their service. But as the list of presumptive conditions has expanded, particularly for veterans exposed to toxic substances, burn pits, and other environmental hazards, the VA is now being required to look back at previously denied claims in ways that can open the door to earlier effective dates. What that means for you is that if you were denied in the past for a condition that is now presumptive, the rules around when your back pay clock starts may be more favorable than you think. Let me say that again because it matters. If you had a claim denied before, and that condition is now on the presumptive list, you may be entitled to go back and request a review, and depending on how that plays out, your effective date, meaning the date from which your back pay is calculated, could go back further than any recent filing you made. That is not a small thing. That is potentially years of back pay sitting on the table waiting to be claimed. And if you want personalized help understanding your VA benefits, increasing your rating, or avoiding another denial, don't do it alone. Join our private community, Veteran Benefits Blueprint. It's where I break everything down even more step by step, answer questions directly, and give you templates and tools that have helped thousands of veterans get the benefits they earned. The link is in the description box below. I'd love to see you inside. Now, let us talk about the error correction piece because this is huge. The VA has long had a provision called Clear and Unmistakable Error, or CUE, which allows veterans to challenge past decisions if the VA made a legal or factual error. But the standard for proving CUE has always been incredibly high, and many veterans gave up because it felt impossible. The pressure being applied right now through advocacy and legislative action is pushing for more accessible pathways to correct these errors and reopen the effective date question. What this means practically is that veterans who felt like a door was permanently closed may find that door cracked open again. If the VA failed to follow its own rules, misapplied the law, or overlooked evidence that was clearly in your file at the time of the original decision, there are now stronger arguments and in some cases newer procedural tools to bring that back into play. Here is something else I want you to think about. The VA has a duty to assist veterans in developing their claims. That means they are supposed to help you gather evidence, notify you of what you need to submit, and make sure you have a fair shot. When the VA fails in that duty, it can affect your entire claim, including the effective date. Challenges based on duty to assist failures have been gaining traction, and the outcome of successful challenges almost always circles back to money, specifically back pay owed from the correct original date. I want to pause here and address something directly. Some of you watching this have been sitting on the sideline thinking your case is too old, too complicated, or that the VA has already made its final word. I want to challenge that thinking right now. The veterans I see winning these fights are not the ones with the cleanest cases. They are the ones who refused to accept a bad decision and kept pushing. The system has real pathways for relief, and the rule changes we are discussing today are expanding those pathways, not closing them. And if you're a veteran who's been denied or stuck waiting years for results, click the link in the description box below. ReMedical specializes in helping veterans like you get the medical evaluations needed to strengthen their VA claims sooner than later. It's the same starting point I started for myself, and I recommend for anyone serious about getting their VA claim approved. You can find the link in the description box below. Let us get into some specific actions you can take right now. First, pull your rating decision letter and your claim file. If you do not have your complete claims file, you need to request it from the VA immediately. This is the foundation of everything. You cannot identify errors, you cannot find opportunities for earlier effective dates, and you cannot build a strong argument without knowing exactly what is in your file. Second, identify any conditions you have that are now on the presumptive list, that were previously denied or underrated. The PACT Act expanded the presumptive list dramatically for toxic exposure veterans, and this is still an area where thousands of veterans have not taken full advantage of what they are owed. If burn pit exposure, contaminated water, radiation, Agent Orange, or any other environmental hazard is part of your story, you need to be actively working this angle. Third, consider working with an accredited VA claims agent or veteran service organization if you are not already. I know some of you prefer to go it alone, and there is nothing wrong with that, but for complex cases involving back pay disputes, earlier effective dates, and error corrections, having someone in your corner who knows the regulations inside and out can make a real difference in the outcome. Fourth, do not let deadlines slip by you. One of the cruelest parts of the VA system is that there are time limits on certain types of challenges and appeals. The newer decision review options, including supplemental claims, higher-level reviews and board appeals, all have timelines attached to them. Missing a deadline can cost you the ability to preserve an earlier effective date. Stay organized, stay on top of your dates, and if you are unsure, ask someone who knows. And if you want the proven roadmap to maximize your VA benefits, join our Veteran Benefits Blueprint private community. The link is in the description below. Now I want to talk about the emotional weight of this because it is real. Fighting the VA is exhausting. Many of the veterans watching this video have been in this battle for years. You filed your claim while you were still dealing with the physical and mental toll of your service-connected conditions. You got denied, you appealed, maybe you got a partial rating that did not reflect the true impact of your disabilities. You have watched time pass and wondered if you would ever see justice. And I want you to know that the changes we are talking about today exist in part because veterans like you refuse to be silent. Every piece of advocacy, every congressional hearing, every veteran service organization pushing back on bad VA practices has contributed to the environment where these rule changes are becoming possible. You did not fight for your country to come home and get shuffled through a broken system without anyone fighting for you, and there are people fighting for you. This community is fighting for you. But knowledge is your power. Understanding how the back pay rules work, knowing what changes are in play, and taking deliberate action based on that knowledge is what converts a frustrating situation into a real financial win. The veteran who understands the effective date rules is the veteran who gets every dollar they are owed. The veteran who knows about presumptive conditions is the veteran who reopens the door to back pay they thought was gone forever. Here is my challenge to you today. After this video ends, take one concrete action. Request your claims file if you do not have it. Research whether any of your conditions are now presumptive. Reach out to a VSO or accredited agent. Take one step, because the veterans who win are the ones who stay in motion. If this video helped you, share it with another veteran right now. Someone in your network may be sitting on a back pay claim they do not even know exists, and make sure you are subscribed because we are going to keep covering these changes as they develop. You serve this country and you deserve every benefit you have earned. Now go get it.